Muriel Robinson is joining us now. We always appreciate it when she's here taking your legal questions, and she's ready to do that right now. So nice to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Our first caller is going to be Joyce. Hi, Joyce. What's your question for the judge?
I'm a homeowner. I'm a handgun carry permit. I have a relative that wants to stay in my house with me. What is the law regarding keeping guns in a house where a convicted felon is going to reside for a period of time?
Well, I don't think you're supposed to have guns. He's not supposed to be around guns, usually. So I think that would be kind of risky. So if he's going to be your renter or your house guest or something, you need to remove those guns.
Okay. Thank you for that call, Joyce. Deborah, you're going to be our next caller. What's your question for Judge Robinson?
Yes, my son has an apartment and had a roommate, and the roommate has since moved out and is not paying their portion of the rent. And I wanted to know legally what can we do, because my son's in college and is working part-time.
Well, unless you all had a contract where his roommate signed that he would be responsible for these debts, it's the person that's on the lease. And so if they're both on the lease and your child has to pay because the other moved out and is not paying, then he might have recourse against him by virtue of his signature on the lease in general sessions. But if the parties on the lease don't pay, then of course the lessor will file suit against both of them. So it's smart that your son is paying, and he can try to recoup what he's paying out if this other person is on his lease too, as co-signer.
Always important to have it in writing, right?
Really,
yeah.
Have it in writing.
Deborah, thanks for that call. Hi, Sandra. What's your question for Judge Robinson?
Hello. I just would like to know, at what age does a child not have to go visit the parent that she's not living with if she doesn't want to?
Well, there's not an age that a child can decide not to visit a parent, but the judge has judicial discretion. Now, usually in these custody cases, if a child is a teenager or 12 or older, and they don't want to go on the visitation, they're going to make the visiting parents' weekend miserable. So I don't know why they would enforce that. That's a very difficult thing. But a judge does have the power to order that child to go, and if the parent keeps the child home or whatever, then they could be jailed for violating that visitation order. So you got to be careful about that. But usually if a child doesn't want to be with the other parent and they're a teenager, they make life so miserable, why would you want to even have them there? Sometimes you have to love them enough to let them go.
It's always difficult, isn't it?
It is.
Thank you, Sandra. Hi, Charles. What's your question for the judge today? Charles, turn your TV down, okay? It's your turn to ask your question.
I'd like to know, we have an outstanding bill that has been outstanding for 6 years. We got behind on it. My wife and I are both terminally ill, and we live in subsidized housing. And we got a letter the other day saying that they're going to sue us on a 6.5-year-old bill. We only owe $621. Our bill was over $2,000, and we had it paid down until we got so sick we couldn't pay for it. Well, if we send them $10 a month, a money order every month, would that be suffice, showing that we do? We're not denying, Judge, that we owe the bill.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
We cannot, with prices of our drugs. I have AIDS and she has Parkinson's disease.
Well, what I would do would call the creditor and explain your situation and tell them that you're able to pay this amount and you will pay it. They'll either accept that or they won't accept it. If they file suit, it will be in general sessions and they'll get a judgment, and then you can ask the judge to slow pay it and allow you to pay what you economically can. So, but first call them and tell them your circumstances, and they could forgive it, but that's what you need to do. If you just pay the money, that you don't really have an understanding with them, and they could still proceed to court. But I think if you'd call and tell them your circumstances, that they would work with you.
And you would hope they'd forgive that situation. Judge Robinson, thanks so much for being with us today, and thanks to all of our callers. Judge Robinson's here on the third Tuesday of every month if you didn't get through on the phone lines today.